Hey everybody. Complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So they make a 90-degree right angle. Let me give you some examples of complementary angles. 1 degrees is complementary to 89 degrees. 2 degrees and 88 degrees. 3 degrees and 87 degrees. 4 degrees and 86 degrees. What do you notice about all of these combinations? Well, if I added those angles together they would make a 90-degree right angle. You'll see some more common examples on the right side. 20 degrees and 70 degrees, 30 degrees and 60 degrees, 40 degrees and 50 degrees. And then if you took a 90-degree angle and you split it in half, I'm going to show a visual of that in a second, that would mean that you've made a 45-degree angle and a 45-degree angle, because together, if they're complementary angles, they have to add up to 90 degrees. What you see here are two 90-degree angles. The one on the left has now been split into two angles by this line. So I have an angle here and an angle here. If I know the curve of the angle is 90 degrees total because it was a right angle and I split it, that means whatever this missing angle is plus whatever this missing angle is has to add up to 90. That's what makes them complementary angles, that they add up to 90 degrees. Since I drew the line right in the middle, it must be 45 and 45, which adds up to 90 degrees. Now, what about the other angle? It was 90 degrees also. It's also been split into two complementary angles. I don't know what they are, but I know that if I add them up, they have to equal 90 degrees. So what could they be? This angle is very small. This angle, this curve right here, is larger, but we know they're both less than 90. So what would be a guess that makes sense? What are two numbers that add to 90 that fit with this picture? 80 degrees and 10 degrees. Now, if we took out a protractor and we measured it, it might be off by a couple degrees. But what I want you to realize is that whatever they are, together they have to add up to 90 because they're complementary. What if you have to find the complement for each angle? If your first angle is 60 degrees, you can make a one-step equation because we know the missing angle plus 60 degrees equals 90 degrees. Because it says it's a complementary angle, the missing angle plus the angle that we know has to add up to 90. And now it's just a one-step equation. I subtracted by 60 on both sides. Positive 60 and negative 60 are opposites. They cancel out. And 90 minus 60 gives me my missing angle, 30 degrees. 30 degrees plus 60 degrees gets me back to 90. What if it was 85 degrees? How would that change things? It wouldn't change things. The unknown angle, x, plus the angle that I know has to equal 90 because complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. I created a one-step equation, subtracted 85 on both sides, and got the missing angle, 5 degrees. A phrase I like to use to remind myself is I compliment you when you are right, because complementary angles make 90-degree right angles. Supplementary angles are two angles that add up to 180 degrees. A 180-degree angle is a straight angle, which is just a straight line. Some examples are 1 degrees and 179 degrees are supplementary, 2 and 178 degrees, 3 degrees and 177 degrees, 4 degrees and 176 degrees. They're all supplementary angles because they're two angles that add up to 180 degrees. Other examples that you might find are a 20-degree angle, an acute angle, with an obtuse angle, 160 degrees, 45 degrees and 135, 80 degrees and 100 degrees. And then if you took a straight angle and you split it right in half down the middle, then you would have made two 90-degree angles, two right angles. And those two right angles together, the two angles together, are supplementary angles that make a straight angle. Let's see what that looks like. What we have here are two straight lines. These represent 180-degree angles. If you think about it, maybe you basketball fans out there can relate. If you're facing one direction and then you turn your body completely around, you've made a 180-degree turn. A straight line is 180 degrees. That's a straight angle. Now, let's see what happens when we take that 180 degrees and break it up into two angles. The first example for you is I created an acute angle that's 50 degrees and an obtuse angle that's 180 degrees. How do I know that those two are supplementary? Because together they add up to a 180-degree straight angle. Down at the bottom, I've made another 10-degree angle. If the acute angle is 10 degrees, what would the large obtuse angle have to be that would make a supplementary angle? If you said 170 degrees, that's correct, because together they add up to 180 degrees. Find the angle that is supplementary with 70 degrees. Well, supplementary angles are two angles that add up to 180 degrees. So I'm going to create a one-step equation. Some unknown angle plus 70 degrees equals 180. Now it's time to isolate the variable and balance the equation. X equals 110 degrees. Let's try one more. What angle would be supplementary with 155 degrees? We know the two angles together have to add up to 180. That's why I set up this one-step equation. I subtracted by 155 on both sides and got x equals 25 degrees. Today's classwork, assignment number 19, will be 15 problems. Here they are. 1 through 6, find the angle that is complementary with 30 degrees, 88 degrees, 7 degrees, 62 degrees, 14 degrees, and 45 degrees. 7 through 12, find the angle that is supplementary with 30 degrees, 155 degrees, that problem looks familiar, 176 degrees, 60 degrees, 25 degrees, and 90 degrees. Create a one-step equation and figure out what would x have to be to make a complementary angle with 28 degrees. Number 14, if this obtuse angle is 140 degrees, what would this acute angle have to be that would make a straight angle? These are supplementary angles. What would x have to equal for this to be supplementary with 140 degrees? Last one is a little bit of a challenge, but I know I got some students that can figure it out. We got 45 degrees and 3x. What would x have to equal? Good luck on today's classwork assignment. Please make sure for all 15 problems that you are creating and solving algebraic equations that show that you understand the difference between complementary angles who add up to 90 degrees and supplementary angles that add up to 180 degrees. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments or email me. Have a great day, everybody.